Hello there. Welcome back to, well, I'll do his Hamilton adventure. Currently, we have a fairly healthy lead, 60 points ahead of Red Bull, going into round 6. And we have once again had a bit of a look at the editor, and we've used that to give the other teams a bit of a boost. But I realized that I might have gone a little bit on the aggressive side, if you will. Because if we go ahead now and compare our car to the Red Bull, they are weaker than us in low speed, but they are beating us in basically every other stat with the exception of DRS. But if you also take into consideration that their total extra weight is 17 kilograms, I can guarantee that their car is going to become faster than us with just a couple of upgrades. So this should be a good enough balancing patch. But I think a side quest that we're going to do during this series is kind of try and balance each team as close to each other as possible. I think that would be fun. So we might tweak the other teams. If, say, the Red Bulls become better than us, we might boost the other teams further back. I don't think we're going to be touching Ferrari at all going forwards. I think what I want to try and do as well is kind of what we saw at Bahrain, where a lot of the teams, well, 5 teams, 6 teams, if you will, were fairly close. But, yeah, I like to see that. I like to see if we can make a fairly close rest of the season where every team has a chance of kind of winning. I think that would be fun. But yeah, Hamilton at Ferrari, we have given Red Bull a bit of a boost. We've given actually every single team a bit of a boost. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Emilia Romagna rolls up in 11 days. We do have a couple of problems, namely the fact that the underfloor has suffered some damage. But let's face it, that's not a big problem, and we can actually go ahead and upgrade the car here with a bit of a better underfloor, so it's fine, honestly. We'll have a look at how, again, the car looks going into Emilia Romagna and the races after that, because we have Monaco, we have Spanish GP, and then we have Canada. So we might as well try and get ourselves over to Canada today, maybe, depends on what we have time for. Got home a little bit late, been out skiing for the entirety of the day, which was unplanned, but I thought might as well spend some time outside. So probably going to be late when this has been released. Apologies for that. But yeah, next up, sponsors. Sure, we'll approve of that. Triple payout, double penalty if we fail. That could backfire tremendously, though, because we don't have a full grasp of our car and everyone else right now because of the fact that we went ahead and, well, boosted every other team while nerfing ourselves. So that's a bit of a problem. At least Hamilton and Bono has made up again. They're buddies once more. And the manufacture of suspension has been completed. Cadillo has low morale, which is to be understood. Chassis side pod suspension are coming in very, very shortly. So we're looking to see what this one would do in terms of an improvement. This is basically our speed buff. We're losing a lot of medium and high speed, gaining some engine cooling. And I think we're going to make another buff design before we do anything close to manufacturing. So let's go ahead, get another chassis buff. We have 38 days until we get to the next ATR period. And we're going to buff the cooling, the drag reduction, and that should be fine. But as you can see here, we are kind of suffering, I believe. I believe the nerf that I applied last time is slightly affecting us. Probably not. I just felt like these percentages were a bit low, is all. But nah, it's fine. So the nerf didn't actually hit us hard enough. Probably should have rolled it a little bit higher, or we didn't save properly. Well, the only thing I did this time was again buff the other teams, but we'll do this, get a little bit more expertise in top speed, get a little bit more expertise in cooling, and then we'll make a proper chassis sometime in June, I think. I think that's going to be our best way going forward. We have also manufactured the suspension. So with that in mind, we're going to have to make some decisions. Say, do we want to make anything before we go into Emilia Romagna? And honestly, I think the answer to that is going to be no, most likely. We'll see. We have side pods and suspension incoming. Chassis still going to be a way out. Getting a new rear wing. So neither of these actually are a problem. I think what we're going to do here is get started on another chassis. I think that should be fine. It's going to take 10 days. Let's just get that started. I think that is going to be fine. I think we're also going to go ahead and upgrade the factory. We have a little bit extra money to spare, so it should be fine to do so. Performance targets, we get triple payouts. Also, we get really punished if we fail. So I'm just going to do this. It's pretty balanced. Again, this is calculated with triple payout and also triple penalty, I'm pretty sure. So we're not going to be getting that reward. We're going to be getting this one, the 2 million one, with extra payout because we're lucky. But the other one we're not going to be getting with extra payout, unfortunately. Now, reach Q3. Both cars should have no problem doing that. Qualifying position, both cars in the top 10. Again, we're just going to be a little bit careful here. We're still getting a lot of payouts, so there's no reason to take any huge risks. We're not in a financially bad situation where we would have to take such a risk anyway, so there's no need to, you know, go a little bit too aggressive on the risk-taking. But let's go to Emilia Romagna here. It's an 88 qualifying weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing how the other teams perform and also how we perform. And if we take a look at the car analysis right now, we've fallen down to 8th on the high-speed cornering, 4th in the mediums, 2nd in low, 17th in top speed. So yeah, looks like we are getting hit a little bit. Dirty air is terrible. I need to get a little bit of an improvement there. How are the Red Bulls looking? 1st in medium, 7th in high speed. So I might have gone a little bit too wild here. And we've rolled a bit of a dangerous dice because Red Bull isn't the fastest team in terms of top speed. But they have gotten some upgrades. So you can see they've shaved off 5 kilograms on their car. How are Aston Martin looking? They're currently the top speed team. But not super good, with anything other than that. The Mercs, how are they looking? 5th, 9th, 18th. That's confusing. But they still have a lot of weight to shave off, so I guess it's fine. They'll probably recover. And yeah, it looks like most teams are getting very close to each other here. So this could be an incredibly entertaining season with that in mind. But let's go to Emilia Romagna here. We're going to get the next 3 races done, and then we'll see where we stack up. So with the current changes, Verstappen is quick. Paris is a bit slower. And Alpine is in 5th. Magnussen is in 9th. So it still needs a little bit of fixing. Let's put it like that. But we are getting closer to having the Red Bulls be at least a little bit quicker than us. And I think as soon as they get another couple of projects done, shed a little bit more weight maybe, they are going to be there. But it's interesting to see Magnussen and also Ocon as high up as they are. And we'll hopefully also be able to get the Mercs back to glory. Williams, pretty quick. Honestly, not too shabby, but then again, 12-8 versus a 14-1. So bottom 10 teams there probably does still need a little bit extra boost. Hulkenberg there does kind of make me question Magnussen's. And also keep in mind that these are set on mediums, these are set on softs. So probably about a second or so slower. But we'll see. Give it a couple of races to see the exact effects on the cars. But yeah, we are going to get ready for Imola. The softs here have about a 3/10 advantage. 200 degradation, around 15 laps or so. They're going to be faster than mediums. 2/10 for the hards to medium. 10 laps. So I do want to kind of try and avoid the hards or the mediums if possible. They only hold an advantage of the hards for 10 laps. Hards might actually be pretty good around here. One stopper is one of the base strategies. Can we do some shenanigans with a 2-stopper maybe? Would that be too much to ask, or is it actually viable? Somewhat viable. How much quicker is it? About 5 seconds than just a 1-stopper. That's not massively quicker, which is, you know, a bit of a problem. What if we do another hard stint instead? That would be slower. Okay, so we do not want to do that. What if we let up on the hard stint and we can then run the softs a bit more aggressive? It's going to be a bit slower, but it is an option that we have available to us. So yeah, 2-stopper like this is probably going to be the quickest one available to us. If we want to play it safe, we'll just do this. But yeah, most strategies they do seem to have around the same in terms of pace. I think we'll just put both drivers on the same strategy. It should be fine. And yeah, I think it is going to be the best strategy available to us. That's just it. Yeah, let's get into this. Verstappen is a little bit quicker than us at quali. Let's see if we can keep it up with race pace. We are playing on hard, so I should be using aggressive strategies. Let's see if they can. The Red Bulls now are ready to give us a bit of a fight. So medium. I see a soft tire back there. A couple of hards. So pretty varied here in terms of strategy. Everyone's using something different, which is always a bit interesting. But we had an okay start here, although Hamilton is currently in danger from Paris. Paris is currently still being kind of held up by Leclerc there a little bit, so Hamilton is holding on to his position because, well, Paris can't run past Leclerc. But this is kind of what we honestly expect. Paris being on a faster tire should be able to overtake us. That's kind of what we're looking for in terms of battling. And Verstappen is just running away immediately, which is also kind of what we expected. I'm wondering if everyone is going to stay in the DRS train, because that could be painful in in a different way, honestly. And honestly, if everyone stays in DRS train, it's going to make pit stops far more valuable. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this race goes. But it does look like we've kind of settled in. There are some gaps forming, so my fears of a 20-car train probably a bit unfounded. Verstappen is running away with it, though, and taking better care of tires. So I'd say, arguably, we have a bit of a fight on our hands here, potentially. Let's see if we can get him beaten through superior pit strategy. So currently we're in a bit of an interesting position here, I dare say, because we are falling behind Verstappen, but we're running away from everyone else. Ocon is holding on to his position. Hulkenberg has gotten up to 8th somehow. He's pulled out some dark magic, so we might need to have a look at the Haas after this race, because that's witchcraft. And also, as you can see, we're having a little bit of a higher degradation than we anticipated. So we're going to get Hamilton in now. He's going to fall pretty far back, and depending on overtaking difficulty here, we could be in a bit of trouble. And the same can be said for Leclerc. Hamilton comes out in 17th, and there are some DRS trains that we need to handle. But this is a lot better already than us being able to come out safely. And we'll have to see now where Leclerc comes out. Probably going to come out behind Hamilton, I would assume. Yeah. And he gets overtaken by Sargent, but he should have a fairly simple time with making up at least that place. And for the time being, we're just going to keep on moving forwards. But we're going to definitely have a look at the Haas cars after this. Hulkenberg up into 6th now. So Paris has just pitted and come out in 13th, so even they are having some problems. But Verstappen here is actually far enough ahead that I don't think we're going to be able to beat him here on the way out. We just barely did. It is a fairly lengthy pit stop here. But even with us pushing and pitting early, we just came out equal to him at the moment, and he's most likely going to go on those hard tires till the end. So this is going to be a fairly interesting case from that perspective. And a lot of the cars now are going to start pitting. We have Perez, Alonso, Verstappen just being a legend in his own right. So this could get fairly realistic in terms of just Verstappen. Sainz had a bit of an incident with the Haas. Ooh, okay.
What a disaster.
Sainz not happy. But yeah, Haas running wide, and then unfortunately having a bit of a touchy moment there with the Haas. And Verstappen immediately sets fastest lap on the hard tires. So yeah, I am scared. We might have recreated the monster that is in reality in this game right now. And honestly, if we have, that's going to make things fairly interesting, because then we can have a proper Hamilton versus Verstappen duel. So we have unfortunately run these hards a little bit too long, but we kind of needed to, so it is okay. Now on the second hand here, I did get Leclerc in the pits at the same time. That's a little bit too bad. Bit of a slow stop. We are going to come out though in 3rd and 5th, so not terrible in terms of where we're coming out, but it is a bit terrible in terms of how we're going to be able to handle this stint, because, well, both Paris and Verstappen are going to stay on these tires till the end. One stopper here, copying them might have been the better strategy, but we'll see now if we can make it up now with the soft tires. I do kind of believe that we will, but it still remains to be seen. Currently a second quicker than Paris, half a second quicker than Verstappen, but even with that, he's 26 seconds up the road. That's going to be difficult to get done in 23 laps. So currently we're running fairly quick. We're still 15 seconds and 22 seconds behind Verstappen, but we're running about a second quicker. But again, it's just that we don't have enough laps to really make an impact here, because it's just 11 laps remaining. Even if we get a second lap, we're still going to be 3 seconds short. And we don't have the tire available to us to actually do anything other than just hope for the best. Now currently we're getting very close to having equal tires in terms of the percentages. So Verstappen is probably going to have a bit of a stronger finish than we are. It's going to be unfortunate, but unfortunately Emilia Romagna does look to go Verstappen's way. So unfortunately here, Verstappen did win. Good 9 seconds ahead of us. We didn't really have any chance. We did get faster lap, however, so we'll take an extra point from that. We ended up sacrificing a little bit more of our tire to secure that, because we saw that we just weren't going to be able to catch him. Now, we have both Red Bulls in 1st and 4th. Paris is about 40 seconds behind Verstappen, which is worrisome. We have Ocon in 5th, which is impressive, particularly if you consider that Gasly is in 14th. So we'll have to see probably some different upgrades on the cars. Both Mercs are in the points. Hulkenberg is in the points, making up 9 places. So the Haas do seem to be pretty good. The Astons are looking decent as well. But yeah, we're going to allow, as I said, just a few races here to allow things to balance itself out. And then I'll allow you to come with comments on which teams need a big boost, medium boost, low boost. Well, I'll think about it until we're done with, well, this episode. But basically, I like your input on how we can balance these teams to keep this a very, very interesting season. Now we're still leading the constructors, unsurprisingly here. Both drivers still 1-2. We are still gaining points over Paris, but Verstappen is catching up quite aggressively. His first race win of the season. So this could be the start of the Red Bull catching us. But if this story keeps repeating, 3 points a race is not going to be enough to catch us by the end of the season. They're going to have to perform just a little bit better than that. Financially here, we are paying out some bonuses, but the extra payouts there definitely help get us back some of that money that we spent on the factory. So I'll be very, very happy with that. Side pods design has been completed. The suspension design has been completed. We're done with manufacturing front wings, which means that we'll first take a quick look here and see what we have available to us. And these are 2 suspension designs, VIP experience, inspection results. That's what we're looking for. Rear wing, suspension, a little bit of damage on both of those. So we'll see if we have replacement. And we do have for that. And we do not have a rear wing replacement. So let's try and get a couple of those made. Or at least just one for now, so that we have it ready for Monte Carlo. And we also had a suspension failure, which we'll replace immediately. Now, we did have some manufacturing slots available to us, but honestly, I need to use the ones that we have for the time being. So we'll have a look at what the 2 designs did. Honestly, I probably should do that immediately. Although the refund is going to suck. See what the 2 designs were. That's the thing. We're going to go ahead and cancel that rear wing for the time being. It's going to have to be like this. I should have checked earlier. It's my bad. So yeah, this side pod is basically, again, a very minor upgrade. It sacrifices a bit of cornering, retains the high speed, gives a little bit of top speed. It's something that we would like to make if we can. But I probably also want to make one more before we do. The suspension is all same, kind of as expected here. So both of these parts are parts that we want to make before long. And that is what I thought, which is why I wanted to check, just to be on the safe side. Now, The side pod, I think I'm going to go ahead and just make another iteration with kind of that same setup, where we go something like this. Should be decent. The engine cooling is already pretty bad, but getting a little bit extra top speed, which we are lacking in, and also retaining the cornering ability is going to be big. So I'm happy with doing this. Again, we could sacrifice a bit of engine cooling, but honestly, even if it's just 1%, you get the most engine cooling from your side pod, so I'm happy with this. We're just going to do that project normally. Now, the other design project here, I'm kind of tempted to do another underfloor, because the underfloor is good at basically everything if you let it be. So we could do this, for instance, for the next underfloor. We're going to get a lot of top speed back. We're just going to lose slight amounts of cornering. But if you just seeing what we're gaining versus what we're losing, I think we're going to put the next safety period into the underfloor as well. I think that is going to be the play. So we're going to go ahead here, go with another suspension where we are focusing on, well, most things. And this is going to be a fairly sizable upgrade, let's be honest, compared to what we're using now. We're probably not going to make this this suspension, let's be perfectly honest. What we could also do if we're really brave is do something like this. But we're going to go ahead and design it anyways, both for expertise gain, and maybe we'll go ahead and put it on the car. We'll have to see and compare. But we're going to go ahead and now and remake that rear wing. We did throw away 300k of the cost cap because I cancelled, but I want to see what I was working with before I made new designs. Rear wing has been designed, and we'll just install a replacement. And what I'm thinking we're going to get started on here is the suspensions, because they have the bigger gain out of the two parts. So let's go ahead. Let's get the suspensions manufactured. And 8 days for Barcelona, 22 days for Montreal. If we rush, we're going to get one of them ready for Barcelona. It's going to cost another 300,000. I think we're going to just have to here, just so we have parts available to us, because we're also out of suspensions. If we have a damage, we're going to have to emergency manufacture, which is going to be very expensive. So we're not in an amazing position. Now, in terms of our car, let's just take a quick look. So currently we are first in medium, low speed, and 15 high speed with that new underfloor and also a new front wing that I did kind of forget, but we did actually have a new front wing that we have put on the car. And if we compare it to the previous one, it gives us a pretty decent increase in low, medium, and high speed. And also we gained some of that dirty air tolerance back as well, so we made it a little bit heavier. So it's not a bad front wing, all things considered. But yeah, I am a little bit unsure. I want to check out the Haas car, because the Haases were quick. So the Haas looks like basically the 5th best car maybe at the current moment. Red Bull 3rd, 8th, 1st. They're not far behind right now. That's 0.001, 0.014. A little bit more behind in the low speed, but generally the Red Bull is the better car right now. Just looking at this, they have way more top speed, 1.5 kph. They're barely behind on DRS. Red Bull is not a bad car. Merc is a little bit further back, particularly on the medium. High speed too, they probably do need a little bit of a boost. Aston's not too far behind, closer than the Mercs for sure. They've actually added weight to their car, 24 kilos, so if they just shed that, they're going to be quick. The Alphas here do need a bit more work, massively, particularly on the brake cooling, engine cooling. But they're not super shabby. And the Alpines, which were a bit surprising, same high speed as us, better dirty air, about the same top speed, so that was actually pretty good at performance from Ocon then. Yeah, the Merc and McLaren. So yeah, we're moving. They've actually shed a lot of weight for the AI. So we're moving a little bit closer to what I wanted, but we might still need to boost some of the other teams. But let's go to Monaco. Let's see how we do here. Then we'll have another look before we go to Canada. Let's also go ahead and set up the goals here. We're going to go for the basic ones. As you can see, 154 is what we usually get. But the extra payouts last time definitely did help. this time we're not going to get a lot of payout, just barely enough to cover the bonuses if we have a good race. So yeah, once again, the monster known as Verstappen rears its head and beats us by 1,000 to pole position. The Charles Leclerc curse intensifies, clearly. But yeah, Leclerc just can't catch a break at Monaco, even in a manager game. Now, Hulkenberg Magnussen did incredibly well. Gasly this time for the Alpines, so I'm a little bit uncertain how this is going to turn out, but it looks fairly interesting for now. But there is some pretty huge glaring issues, and that is that Alonso is a second behind on a incredibly short track, so hopefully we'll get a little bit closer during the race itself. But yeah, Red Bull is incredibly quick. We're pretty quick, and we've actually improved pretty decently in between the sessions, so I'll have to see how the race goes itself. Now, because most teams are fairly quick, we might have to amend our strategy a little bit. What we usually would do around here is basically push as hard as we can, pit early, and then work from there. Softs have 15 laps advantage. The mediums have the same 15 laps advantage. So what we might do is go for the unorthodox hard attack, which kind of sounds like heart attack, but yeah. Bit unorthodox hard attack into a double soft. That could be what we actually do here. We are starting second and third. I don't think we have much of a chance anyways to get past Verstappen is the thing. So we could start on the hards, push them as absolutely hard as we can, and then work from there. It is a fairly quick strategy. We can also start on the mediums, then go over to the hard, and then go over to a soft. That too is on the table. But the question is just, can we get enough laps in on the medium to actually, justify starting on it? I'm worried that 20 laps won't be enough to create the gaps that we need to come out safely. So I'm thinking starting on the hards, probably not the most terrible idea. Going for the double softs will give us also the ability, if we need to actually have just a tad bit of flexibility in attacking, which of course is always nice. So I do think this is the best strategy that we have available to us. And we're just going to put both cars on it again. You can, of course, do medium, do hard. You can probably do one stop here if you don't run aggressive. But I think this is, again, just the best way to take advantage of the heightened tire drag, the current version of the game. So we're going to give this a go. I think it's going to be fine. Again, we're going to have a lot of tire left by the time we pit, so we can go a little bit of attack, a little bit aggressive. But I am worried, basically, that because we have boosted the teams, and I don't really know their pace at this point because of the boosts, we're going to go a little bit on the safe side and go for a few laps longer on the hard rather than any other tire. Again, they do hold an advantage, so generally this isn't going to be super quick or anything. But I do think it's just going to be better. And having the softs to fall back on so that we can attack if we need to, it's going to be good. And as you can see here, I think Verstappen has copied our strategy. I think I see white banding. I did. You do not wish to retire, Hamilton. I'm a little bit weird here. I got so distracted by Verstappen white banding that I forgot what I was doing with setting things up. But yeah,
We can have an overtake press. Overtake press.
that is actually surprising. Verstappen here with the same kind of strategy that we're doing, and there's only 3 soft runners total here. Albon, Russell, Gasly, the Williams here at the back row is also a bit surprising. So yeah, it's gonna be a weird couple of races. For now though, I think we can be happy with the current situation. We're just gonna sell in behind Verstappen. Once the first 5-6 laps here get done, we're gonna try and get some overtaking done. But currently, we're pretty quick here compared to, say, Alonso or Magnussen. So maybe I was a little bit too much on the safe side. We'll see though.
Now here we are tackling turn 3. There's the opening.
As you can see, we did get the overtake done. Took a little bit of work, but Leclerc is now leading the race at lap 9. So that is very promising. And as I said it, we are gonna most likely before the next episode go ahead and boost every other team that isn't Red Bull. Well, we'll give Red Bull a small boost, but everyone else a big boost, particularly the Williams, because they are struggling back there. Albon is on a soft tire and he's struggling to keep up. We turned him into the Alpines for this at Bahrain. And I don't know how, so it is a bit concerning, to say the least. And Hamilton, too, gets Verstappen here. A little bit easier than it should, but I do think that's also a combination of the fact that we are just pushing these hards as hard as we can. You can see Verstappen is taking way better care of his than we are. So that's probably also playing a small role, I would dare say. But yeah, we're getting closer and closer to being able to do just a very safe pit stop, so probably a bit too conservative. But yeah, I'm a little bit concerned at the difference in, say, Verstappen and Paris's pace here. Paris arguably on the better tire. We're getting very closer to our pit window, and we're going to be pitting Hamilton first. He's been using his time more than Leclerc has, so we're going to give him the first pit stop just due to that. And we're going to be pitting Leclerc on the following lap. Now, because of the amount of time that we have here, we're actually going to be able to come out most likely ahead of Paris. So we're going to just be losing one position to Verstappen through the process of pitting. And that is insanity, really. So, yeah. I don't know what we can do here, other than just boosting the other cars a bit more. We're going to probably boost Red Bull a little bit more as well. Maybe slow down on our own development. But I am a bit worried. Leclerc here still comes out ahead of Hamilton. Pretty healthily so, I might add. So I'm not too worried. I do believe that Verstappen is trying a one-stopper. You can kind of see that. He has 62% left. So we're going to have to try and clear him really, really quick. So we've just gotten a incident here that is a safety car. But judging from where Show and Sargent have been parked, and the fact that Hamilton is approaching, Leclerc just got by, which is very, very safe. I do believe this might be a red flag situation. And that's going to spice things up a bit again.
There is a crash.
I would think this is going to be a red flag. We'll see, though. Might be they can't sailboat away after we watch the crash. But yeah. That was a weird one. What I assume happened here is that there was a slight lockup, touched the back wheel, and that took out both cars. That's going to be expensive. But yeah, not unsurprising here, a red flag. But as you can see, we do have a fairly healthy lead on Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, lapped kind of everyone. So I'm a little bit worried, but to be fair, everyone was done with their pit stops for the most part. We were the only one that still had to pit. Now, we're probably going to go on the soft tires here. It's going to be 20-ish laps at the end. So soft tires are going to be the best option. We're starting 1-2. So we'll be controlling the pace. So I do think that just going soft tire, running them a little bit more, well, just running them even light because they can start at temperature, is going to be the best thing for us. But yeah, I was very worried there. It did kind of seem like it was one of our cars because I was watching Hamilton and heard a thunk. So as you can imagine, that was worrying. McLaren Alpine has interesting lineup. And we are going to deploy energy. We're going to push fuel because we need that at least to stay ahead. And we are going to just do attack it, I think, for the first 3 or 4 corners. And hopefully we can hold our position doing that. But Verstappen has already jumped Hamilton. And it looks like we've had another crash with potentially Hülkenberg involved as he has damage to his tires. But no, it's actually Nick de Vries who squeezes the Mercedes. That is unfortunate for the Mercedes driver. In this case, I believe it is actually Sainz who's been cursed. But yeah, Hamilton here getting overtaken by Verstappen was not something that I had on my restart card, and that is kind of worrying. So what I'm thinking we do here now is we turn both cars to light, and
Watch for debris.
was there another crash? Sainz actually got a penalty. Okay, so I guess Sainz got blamed. I didn't really see anywhere else the Mercedes could go, though. That's the thing. But yeah, we are just going to take care of our tires, and then we're going to have to try and jump Verstappen, I think, towards the end. Sainz is going in for a new front wing. But yeah, again, I do think that this is the best strategy for us. Leclerc can hold up Verstappen somewhat if we need to, and if he has decent tires, he can just pull away towards the end of the race here. And we are going to have to recharge the battery somewhat, but I still think we should have no problem staying ahead. So let's see if we can keep it up, or if Verstappen is going to, well, steal the win away from us here, because that could happen too. Don't get me wrong, we are taking care of our tires. It is risky. We did get the overtakes done earlier in the race, so we might have to try and do the same now towards the end. We're getting close to the end here now, about 10 laps remaining, and I think this is the time when we are going to start pushing a little bit and see if we can get away from Verstappen. We also have the benefit there of Sainz being a bit of a back marker, so we're going to have Leclerc push, try and set fastest lap, and also get away from Verstappen, already 2 seconds ahead. So this attack of ours has been very efficient. Let's be honest, it's working extremely well. And now, the goal is of course going to be to have Hamilton do something of the same. So we're going to turn him up for standard here. We do have a bit of tire advantage to go on, so I'm not too worried. And once we get within DRS, we can try and use our energy here to get past. And honestly, I do think that we can just turn him much aggressive here and chase down Verstappen. We have 8 laps currently to get this done. And around Monaco, you kind of need every lap that you can get to guarantee success. So I'd like to get closer on this lap and then start launching attacks on hopefully the next one. Unless Hamilton is actually sending it. Almost got it done there on his own. That's amazing. Yeah, let's see what we can pull off right now. I think this is when we go attack and deploy, because Verstappen is gaining currently on Leclerc, and that is worrisome for, well, a different reason. If he gets DRS, it's going to make the job of Hamilton here a lot more difficult. But I do have hopes that we can get it done over the course of this lap, and if not the next. We are actually running out a bit of time here. We're going to turn up the overtake aggression, because it's this and the next lap, and then we're basically out of tire, energy, and fuel to attack with. And as you can see here, Leclerc is currently caught up to. And again, that is a bit of a problem, as mentioned. So we might just need to fall back and recharge here and have Leclerc try and get away again. And that does kind of look like what we are forced to do. So let's go ahead and conserve, go neutral. See if we can get Leclerc away. Because right now, Verstappen is maintaining the lead over Hamilton with the help of Leclerc. So we need him to just fly away. And if it does fly away, we can just keep him on full attack until the end. He should have enough tire. We do get DRS. I'd still like to just spend a little bit of time here taking care of these tires, but we do have advantage, and it's very, very few laps remaining, so I don't think we have much of a choice in how we handle this. So let's just go all in with Hamilton. We deploy. That should make things a little bit more likely to get the overtake. We are seeing a little bit of fighting. I would still like to have it be a little bit more fighting with Paris as well.
Pretty hot, mate.
So let's see if we can actually make that happen. And I'd also like Sainz to have a strong redemption arc in Mercedes as well, if possible. Is that it? Yes, it's done. Maybe. Potentially. Sorry for the cursor being in the middle of the way there. Didn't mean to. But yeah, Hamilton did get it done there. Question is now, can we stay ahead until the end? You can kind of see it did cost a lot of time to do these attacks. So with 3 laps to go, 20%, that should be plenty. And we have already pulled out of DRS somewhat. So I think we can just allow things here to kind of reach their conclusion. We are going to do next race too. Then we'll have a little bit of a poll on what we should do. I do think that Verstappen, Red Bull needs another little bit of a boost. But there are huge gaps here that we do need to keep in mind. This is with a red flag, just 24 laps, and even then, a lot of cars are very, very far behind. And I would like to get them closer to have more storylines for one, but also interest. Right now, Haas is doing well, Alpine's doing well, Bottas in the points. So, it's interesting. It's kind of what I would like to see, a lot more cars in the points. But I would like them to be closer to us as well, so that if we have incidents, it's actually going to be very, very punishing. Did click a little bit too quick there. So for the results, we're going to have to go to the next screen and take a look. That's my bad. I'm a little bit too enthusiastic about going forwards, I guess. Underfloor manufactured, chassis been manufactured. That opens up manufacturing slots for what we got last time around. But yeah, we are up now to 294 points versus 217. That's an 80-point lead. Pretty decent lead here in the championship too. So let's see what happens in Spain, because that's actually one of the places where we might get beat back, to be fair. Okay, car part inspection, rear wing and side pods failed on Hamilton's car. We don't actually have a replacement rear wing. Let's go ahead and get 2 of them made, or yeah, I think we're just going to have to make 2. I know that we are currently designing a new rear wing, but we do also need to have spares. And right now, we're also in a bit of a hot water here, because we don't have, and we will not have, we're going to actually have to emergency manufacture a side pod, because we don't have them available anyways. And even if I rush this 6 days, that means we'll have it on race day. Basically, it won't be done in time. We're going to have to emergency manufacture one. So that's horrible. That's expensive. That's the best way I can describe that. And with that, we might as well go ahead and manufacture one more. And with that and the rear wing, we should be fine. The suspension, we are manufacturing that, so it's not really a big deal. But at the same time, there's so many parts there that we're just straight up lacking on. So we do need that extra factory slot sooner rather than later. That would be good. But yeah, let's head to Spain and see how exactly we stack up there. Car development, we're falling backwards on the high speed. We're still retaining in low and medium. Still retaining in DRS. But I'd like to see how the other teams catch up here. Cornering smoothness for Leclerc. Smoothness is probably the best at this year, honestly. Braking for Hamilton. Both drivers developing nicely there. Now the pick retaining schedule, they are still tied, which is kind of what I expected, so I didn't bother switching things up. And we're going to have a look at where we're at after Spain, I think. We are falling backwards, though, in terms of times and everything. So need to remember to actually check that after every race. Sometimes I do forget, so I just need to be a little bit more consistent in checking it. Yeah, let us head to Spain. We'll have a quick look here at how the cars are looking. Just going to go ahead and install that replacement. And currently, we were rated as first, 6th now. Right here, looking at Leclerc's car. And are the other cars just not catching up? Yeah, Red Bull's kind of same as we looked at last time. No big changes. I'm going to have a look at the second car. Yeah, the cars do look identical, so that's not the reason why the pace is that different. Let's have a look at the Haas now. I'd definitely argue that the Haas and the hazards are overperforming. I think Monaco helped with not only the red flag, but also where cars kind of got stuck, to be fair. AlphaTauri is nothing too impressive. Williams, though, I want to have a look at these guys because they were suffering. So 20th in low and medium speed cornering. Still has a ton of extra weight. Just hasn't developed low and medium speed. High top speed. So I guess, yeah, Monaco was just a terrible, terrible track for them. But yeah, let's head to Spain. Let's see what we see. If we get anything of interest. And again, Spain, one of the highest egg tracks on the calendar. We're probably not going to have too good of a time here. Let's see how we stack up. Qualifying for the Spanish GP has reached its conclusion. It was a wet qualifying, which is why we see some interesting stuff here, like Hamilton being 5 seconds quicker than De Vries. But yeah, Sainz and De Vries, neither of them actually did a dry run. There was dry tires at the end. I'm very surprised. Alonso, Russell, both of these guys didn't time correctly when it was still a little bit rainy. But we are looking at a little bit closer here. Paris is kind of back in the fight. He did beat Verstappen at the 2 previous quali runs, and he actually did have the fastest times, one that would have put him on pole. So both Red Bulls here are looking competitive. Both Alpines are looking competitive, and also, to some degree here, both Mercs. Now, the Vries making it into Q3 was unexpected, but it's due to Stroll. Haas is here kind of where we expect them, so it's again, it does look like it's stabilizing a little bit. Probably need 3-4 races to actually see the proper effects, but that is a-okay. Now, in terms of what we want to do here, I'm unsure if we want to actually start on the hard tire and just push it into oblivion, then do a very shenanigansy 3-stopper. As you can see, this isn't exactly quick compared to the base strategy. It's actually slower. So doing that with the hards, probably not the best, but as you can see, the base strategy here does also come with a bit of a broken soft stint there. So even doing something like this is going to make it a little bit quicker. What I am thinking we do is probably use the medium stint as a starter. But I don't know if running it attack is going to be worth it. Because Dag, it would force us into a 3-stopper with 3 soft stints. For sure if we did. We could also start on the hard tire. Do something with that. That is viable. Yeah, as you can see, the softs here not really working too well. So I'm thinking we do just run the medium stint here. Pretty standard. And then we go over onto 2 soft stints. And that's probably just going to be the best thing available to us, because 2-stopping isn't really viable around this place. And honestly, we'll just be focusing on our own race more so than anything else. And I think that's going to be a-okay. That's going to be just dandy, if you will. So we're going to go ahead and do just that. It's a pretty boring strategy, but with how high degradation is, you kind of are going to have to. Also, as you see, the hards weren't really worth it. And if we take a look at the compound performance here, mediums compared to hards, 3/10 difference, 100 difference in degradation, 30 laps. Or basically, if you want to be extremely precise, 28 laps here for the mediums to become equal to the hards. So if you start on the medium tire and the hard tire, after 28 laps, they'll be running the same lap time. So you're holding an advantage there for almost half the race. So stay away from the hards. That is almost 5/10, 4.5/10 basically. Soft advantage over the mediums, but degradation difference just 10 laps. So honestly, running the mediums in conserve mode, if we have 2 sets of them, might be the best play here, honestly. Might be better to do this and try and take care of the mediums rather than doing anything else. So we could try an extremely cheeky 1-stopper here if we really, really wanted to. And as you can see, it is actually kind of viable. The main thing that's going to stop this from actually working is just going to be the fact that you're not going to be able to keep temp into the tires. It's very difficult to do that when running conserve. So, yeah, the mediums here are the best tire. definitely. But you are still limited by temperature. You can't run them anything higher than this. And even this you could run and then just go attack for a few laps at the end there. But again, degradation is just so high. There's just no real gain from doing so. So yeah, that's just, again, just probably the best we can do. Let's get into this. Let's see how we perform.
The stage is set. One of the oldest races on the Formula One calendar. This is the Spanish Grand Prix.
So hard tire for a load of this, guys.
And away we go.
It's going to make things kind of interesting. And we are running attack currently, but that's basically just for the first couple of corners. Then we will slow down. If we have both Verstappen and Perez running hard tires, I'm actually very, very happy with just turning it down to standard immediately. Because we will be forced to run behind them anyways for a little bit here, because they're just quicker than us when they go full attack. We basically just gain advantage over the Red Bulls once we get into 5-6 laps into the races, and they start slowing down. Now, the Alpines have had a pretty significant gain here, 5th and 6th, so we'll have a look at that car again after this. But yeah, as you can see, they're pushing. Ocon is actually being a bit aggressive towards us. He's on a soft tire, though. But yeah, all we need to do for this first stint is just take care of our tires, run our own race, and then get it done through the pit stops. That's going to be their goal. As Ocon goes up to 3rd, and is now in a podium position. But yeah, let's just speed things along here until we get to that first pit stop of ours. And that's when we can start making some things happen. And we'll also have a look and see if we can catch up to the Red Bulls before we get there. So unfortunately, with well, a few laps to go until we pit, 5 seconds behind, it doesn't really look like we're going to be able to catch up, because Perez and Verstappen has been just DRS training of each other a little bit more efficiently than we have. And as you can see, we are getting close now to a point where everyone is going to be pitting. And again, we're just going to have to focus on our own race here. But I think what we can do is turn both cars to attack. And we're just going to be pitting over the next 2 laps here. It's going to be fairly interesting to see where exactly we end up coming out. But of course, we could have gone aggressive a little bit earlier. That would have been more beneficial. But I'm not too concerned there. And as you can see, we're getting Leclerc into the pits here. Let's see exactly where he ends up coming out. 2.8 second stop there. And currently, he is falling down the order. You see Gasly, Norris, Tsunoda, Magnussen. Coming out in 8th. That's not too terrible, honestly. And if you look at the intervals here, there are no DRS trains for us to contend with, which is going to make life a lot simpler. And I do believe here for Hamilton too, we're going to be seeing more of the same. But we have caught up a little bit here, so if I go and attack, let's say 2 laps earlier for both cars, it'd probably be closer to 3.5. We're probably throwing away about a second, I would think. But yeah, that is unfortunately just how it is sometimes. Hamilton coming out behind Leclerc, and both of them behind Magnussen, as Leclerc gets the overtake done. But I don't think we're going to have any problems climbing back up. And we're currently seeing a very interesting situation here, with Stroll having been lapped. And Alonso running just ahead of him. So, yeah, a very, very weird situation at the moment. But as mentioned, I don't think we're going to have much problems, if any, to climb back up into the podium places. We'll have to see if we can actually get the Red Bulls over the course of this race, though. That's going to be a little bit interesting. So the Red Bulls have just done something a tad bit silly, and that is that they've double stacked. And not only did they double stack, but they had a pit stop error while getting the double stack done. And that has put us now ahead of Paris. So us pitting when we did benefit us. We have closed the gap. And also, as you can see, Verstappen did end up losing a chunk of time and is now behind Ocon. But honestly, I don't think it'll matter much. As you can see, Paris is already pulling ahead quite drastically. So we're going to struggle to keep up with him, I think, unfortunately. But again, the thing here is we don't have any extra time to play with. We're just going to have to run our own race and do the best that we can with the tires that we have available to us. we're getting increasingly closer now to our final pit stop, and we're going to be pitting Leclerc on this lap, and we're going to be pitting Hamilton on the following lap. Now, we're currently 5 seconds behind Perez, and Verstappen is 9 seconds behind us again. So, actually here, we have a pretty inverted position from the last time when I was complaining about Verstappen being a lot quicker than Perez. So, yeah. It's some interesting stuff going on. And Perez actually does pit alongside us. That's not something that I saw coming, so that makes things even more interesting. Because now he's out on fresh tires ahead of us, and he's gone to the medium. So we do have a small advantage for a little while, but if we do conserve the tires properly, we might get Perez here by the end. And for Verstappen, he too is going to have to pit. I would assume he's going to go on a soft tire when he does pit. And as you can see here, Hamilton did actually come out ahead of Leclerc with the pit stops. But yeah, now we're just going to focus on taking care of these tires so that we can just maybe close that 4.5 second gap to Perez and overtake him by the end of this race. We'll have to see what we can do.
4.
And we have a virtual safety car here, which is most likely going to throw a little bit of a wrench in our plans. We are still 5 seconds behind. And it's unfortunately Hulkenberg here. Just had a pretty hard spin into the wall. That is a tad bit rough. But yeah, this virtual safety car throws a monkey wrench into the plans. And let's be honest here, Verstappen should pit now. There's just no reason not to. And as you can see, it's 30 seconds down to Alonso, 41 to Ocon, Sainz, Russell, Gasly. So, again, we'd just like to make it a little bit closer. I would love that. But there's... I do hate this, that the AI, with 34% left on the tires here, just doesn't jump in proactively under virtual safety cars. They're very, very active under full safety cars. Like, under a virtual safety car like this, there's no reason not to pit. So, again, just a tad bit frustrating.
Let's lift off.
And I do believe we can at least run standard now until the end.
Understood.
And do our best now to see if we can catch Perez. But with Perez now holding an even bigger advantage because we wear more, because we're on the soft tires, it's going to be difficult. But it looks like the virtual safety car ended at a rather opportune moment for us, as we're now just 3.7 seconds behind. But even with that in mind, if we want to catch him, we're probably going to have to use some energy here to kind of pull each other along. One uses energy, then the next. You get the idea. And I think that's just kind of how we're going to have to do it. Do energy rotation. Even then, it's going to be difficult to get this done, I think. And what I mean by energy rotation is that we have one push, the other recharge, as long as they can stay within DRS distance. We'll just kind of have them switch back and forth with the pushing. But even with that in mind, we're gaining about half a second. It is viable. Question is just, can we make it work? We're gonna have to try and have Leclerc here do a bit of an overtake on Hamilton. It's gonna require a bit more micromanagement, a bit slowing down to do it, honestly. And I'm also worried that the tires might not last till the end. What we basically have to do here, if I wanted to super micromanage this, is we have Leclerc, or Hamilton in this case, we tell him to don't fight his teammate, and just rotate them back and forth while maintaining the energy usage if we can. Gasly might actually give us DRS there on the main straight for Hamilton, and he did. That's going to help us close the gap. Then we're going to lose that time being stuck behind him. But yeah, I unfortunately don't think we're going to be catching Perez. It's just slightly too far forwards, and while we could energy DRS, it's again just going to be very much a micromanagement exercise that I'm just too mentally tired to sit down and spend the next 10 minutes going through right now. But again, the idea is very simple. You just rotate them and have them use energy. Now, with 3 laps to go, we can have Hamilton go full attack, because Hamilton should use about 5 to 6% per lap. Leclerc doesn't have enough tyre life left to make it viable, but Hamilton does, as mentioned, so he might still be able to close down this gap. He closed it down pretty quickly there the second we went attack. I would assume Paris 2 will go attack, there's just no reason not to, and we've already kind of left Leclerc behind. 2 laps to go here, and still we could make something work because Perez is just not, I would believe, using his tyres to the full advantage that he has.
So 1 more lap.
We're going to be very limited here too in where we do go for this attack, that's the thing. For Leclerc, thinking what we do now is just go full push, deploy everything with him, see if we can get fastest lap. I don't think we will, but we can try. And for Hamilton, the only real overtaking opportunity is going to be in that final DRS zone, unless we get a good sand into one of the corners. But I do believe the DRS zone to be the best bet.
So we're low on battery at the moment.
Okay, so we have used our battery, we've used our everything, but we have gotten the overtake done into the DRS zone.
Lifting coast just a little.
Unfortunately, because Paris is on the inside, he does have a significant advantage. And that advantage turned into him retaking the position, unfortunately. That's a bit of a shame. I was scared that we actually ran out of fuel with Leclerc. Did not get fastest lap, unfortunately. But 2nd and 3rd, Alonso 5th, 6th and 7th for the Mercs, Norris, Gasly. I think we can be happy with this. Still gonna need a little bit more tweaking with the teams, but honestly, it's looking good. We are getting a bit more fight from the Red Bulls, although it's mainly just one driver at the moment, so they probably do need a little bit of extra benefit. But it is looking very, very good at the moment. Now, I did go again a little bit too quickly forwards because I'm thinking while just clicking, and I'm not registering what's actually in front of my eyes. So yeah, I'm tired today. Spent the entire day in the skiing, so physically, mentally tired after that, which is kind of what you'd expect. But I had fun. We're not going to take any more sponsor obligations. That's not happening. Every car part passed. That is great. We've manufactured the suspension. We manufactured rear wing, which means we now have slots open. But yeah, what I would like to see is just, we're probably going to end up tweaking some of the cars. Right now they're not accurate because again, they are the race. This screen just isn't accurate due to the fact that the other teams have damaged parts, for instance. But we are going to most likely tweak things around a little bit. I do think we're going to give Red Bull another bit of a boost going into the next episode. But I'd like to hear which other teams you'd like to give a bigger boost, medium boost, things like that. I would like to actually do, again, try and get things a little bit more balanced. But currently, Paris is doing a good job here ahead of Verstappen. He is catching up to Leclerc, though. And Hamilton still has a fairly healthy lead. We are, well, leading by 73 points. Kind of the same as we started at, honestly. But, yeah, we'll have to see what we do. I would like to have the Red Bulls be a bit more competitive. But what we're seeing is basically that one car for each team seems to be very competitive, while the other does incredibly well. And a good example of this is actually, if I assume we can look at the results, previous race results. Alonso finished 5th, and then we have Stroll, 1 lap down in 19th. So clearly something here. They haven't manufactured parts, or generally just not taking a while to get the updates for both cars, which is kind of what I'm feeling. Don't think it only affects one car. That would actually be hilarious if it did. The buffs only affects car 1, for instance. But yeah, I'll probably have to double check how it works. I did a little bit of testing. I thought this would be a good one. But again, probably a little bit too conservative from my side. We might need to go a little bit harder next time. Give Red Bull probably the same buff, I would think, because they are competitive now. We are getting beaten somewhat by one car. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you still enjoyed. hopefully the Hamilton Ferrari journey can become a little bit more competitive in the next episode. And I hope you all had a good week. Good new start to the F1 season. Verstappen is still doing Verstappen things, but it does look like Ferrari, maybe Mercedes, are going to be a tad bit competitive this year. McLaren stayed well. The Astons did okay. So I have hopes. I definitely were wrong about RB, though. I thought they would do better than they did, which is a tad bit unfortunate. Nothing we can do with that. Again, thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye. Have a good night.